Hello.
Hello.
Good to see you today, Eliot. So, Eliot, today we are here to talk about your acting career and the show that you are currently doing on tour, Sherlock Holmes, The Hunt for Moriarty. So, we are here at the Everyman Theatre in Cheltenham, my hometown. And the first question I've got for you is, when did you start acting?
I started acting professionally in 1991. So that's, I don't know, what's my maths, 35 years? I think that's right, is it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So 35 years. Before that, I did a lot of acting at university, and I did National Youth Theatre and so on, and I did school plays. And so I've always loved acting. It's always something that I sort of dreamt of doing from quite a young age. But I went to drama school, and 1991 was my professional debut.
Do you remember your first professional audition?
I remember my first professional show, which was memorable for all the wrong reasons. It was in an old people's home. It was in the days where you had to work to get your equity card. So you'd have to get a provisional equity card and then do, I can't remember what it was, 16 weeks or so on. And I got a job with a company, and we were performing in an old people's home. And I was nervous as anything, and I walked on stage for my professional debut, and before I'd even opened my mouth, an old woman in the front row just went, "Oh, when's it gonna end?" I thought, oh, there we go, that's the title of my autobiography.
Yeah.
So that was my first professional job. That was in the New Forest. It was for a company called Forest Forge, and I worked with them again about 5 or 6 years after that, so that was quite a nice little sort of circular moment.
And any memorable moments in your career?
Oh, many. Where do I start? What would you like to know?
I think actors or shows you worked on, or anything that springs to mind.
Yeah, I mean, I've worked on quite a lot of big theatre shows with lots of quite well-known people, but it's always great. I mean, we're here in the Everyman Cheltenham, and this is the first time I've performed in this theatre, and it's absolutely stunning. And there's something rather wonderful about performing in theatres like this. You sort of feel that that there's a string that goes back in time of actors that have, stood on stages like this in Matcham theatres and Victorian theatres, and you feel like you're part of a heritage, which isn't always the case, because most of the time you're sitting at home waiting for the next job, desperate to work. But you sort of feel when you're in nice theatres like this that there's something noble about the profession.
And has there been any moments in your career which you've considered challenging?
I think the whole career as an actor is challenging. I direct, I make my own theatre, I make my own work. I suppose to answer your question, sort of now I'm thinking about it, but I produced a show, I directed, produced, wrote and performed in show, an adaptation of The Tempest, which we took on tour, and we ended up being picked up by the British Council and going all around Europe performing it. And we performed at the Palace of Versailles to this huge sort of 700 people watching, and we got a standing ovation at the end. So that was a career highlight for me. I thought, God, that's nice, especially when you've done your own work.
Yeah, of course.
There's something lovely about that. I can't even remember what your question was. I'm just rambling.
Challenging moments.
Challenging moments. Yeah. I think the most challenging moments are when you haven't worked for a while, and you start thinking, God, I'm walking into this audition and I'm not getting the job. Or I'm doing self-tape after self-tape and nothing's coming back. Yeah. And that's when I think you've got to be quite mentally strong and quite grounded, and have lots of other things that you do in your life, and family and friends and socializing, because it's a tough life. And I think actors my age, touch wood, we've built up a sort of, over the years, you build up a network of people, and so eventually you're going to be working again. But I think if you're a young actor starting out now, it's incredibly competitive, and there's so much, for every job that's advertised, there's 1,000 people that are applying for it.
Yes, definitely. And is there any role or character that you wish to portray in the future?
I think I'm at that stage of my career where I just am turned on by doing good work with good people, So that's the main thing. If I'm in a production that I'm sort of thinking, I'd quite like to see this myself, I'm in a happy place.
Yes.
I'd like to do more film. I've done, small parts in big films, but I've not done big roles in big films. And so you sort of think you get to, into your mid-50s, is that ever going to happen? But I think you've got to keep being positive and thinking, I'm going to get a big break at some point. I'm going to do a big movie. I'd quite like to do that. So that's something I'm still sort of gunning for.
And tell me a little bit about this show in which you play, Sherlock's older brother Mycroft and many other characters.
I say the handsome brother.
The handsome brother.
The handsome, sociable brother. That's how I'm playing him. No, it's a really good show. I'm multi-rolling in the show, so I'm playing, I think, five characters, and that's quite a challenge to differentiate them one from another, make them a lot of short scenes. So you come and you have to make your mark. You have to let the audience know who this person is. So capturing the essence of that person. So it's a fun show. You have Holmes and Watson who play themselves all the way through, and then everyone else revolves around them. And we play all the different characters. We do the scene changes. We create the environments. We essentially, for the audience, we change the narrative as we go. So it's a fun show from that point of view for me. And I play Mycroft as a sort of slightly sociable version of Holmes. And I also play a character called Colonel Walters, who's sort of retired colonel, drunk, floundering about, lost all his money, ends up doing, I won't spoil it if you haven't seen the show, but ends up sort of being part of the trap that Holmes sets for him. And I play Henry Petty Fitzmaurice, a sort of supercilious civil servant who dislikes Mycroft Holmes intensely. And I also play, very excitingly, a sort of middle-aged assassin who's really, really rubbish and comes on and tries to beat Holmes up and ends up getting knocked out. So that's quite fun as well.
And tell me a little bit about your other cast members in the show.
Fantastic, really nice. There's 5 of us all together, and we travel around the country. It's a long tour. We're doing about 7 or 8 months all in. So you do end up becoming a bit like a family. So it's really important that you get on with them. If you're touring with people you don't get on with, it can be a nightmare. But we all get on brilliantly. So we have a lot of fun off stage. We have a lot of fun on stage. Very talented bunch, really good professionals. So we have a lot of laughs backstage, and then when the show starts, we sort of click into gear and do a good job, I think. Come and see it.
Yes.
Tell your audience how good it is.
Oh, I will, for sure. It's brilliant. Saw it the other night. And how do you think the reaction from the audience has been so far?
It's been brilliant, actually. It's been really surprising. We're selling out everywhere we go. We're getting big audiences in theatres that I've been to before where we've struggled for audiences. So there's something about Sherlock Holmes that captures the audience's imagination. People like to come and see it, and I think the play's gone down well. It's a long play, lots of words, and we rattle through it. But it's about 2 hours, 2 hours 30, 2 hours 40. So it's challenging, I think, for modern day audiences and their attention spans. But I hope that we give them enough variety that keeps their attention. So there's in the show there's lots of fights. There's projection, which gives us sort of visual clues to the story that's going on. There's lots of quick changes. There's lots of quick action. We change the scenes ourselves. We change the set ourselves. So I hope it gives the audience enough to be excited by.
And I have to say, for those who will see the show, have seen the show, very clever with the writing across the top of the stage. Now, very neatly done. I like that. Elements of what they did with the Sherlock with Cumberbatch. I was like, I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Because obviously we've had quite quite a few modern adaptations of the stories in recent years, but there's still an interest to the original period.
Absolutely, yeah. I think the original period adds a little something to it, because there's in many ways Holmes is a bit like a superhero, except his superpowers are almost within reach of us.
Yeah.
He's relying on logic, he's relying on deduction, he's relying on picking up absolutely human interaction at a very sort of micro level. And that's all sort of things that are kind of possible. But when it's put all together in one character, you sort of feel he's almost superhuman, and that's quite fun because it's superhuman, but it's not people that are flying, it's not people, it's something that you can see and you sort of resonate with and think, oh yeah, no, now I understand how he's worked that out.
Yeah, believable superhero.
Yeah.
And one question I do have to ask you, your favourite Sherlock Holmes actor?
I really like Jeremy Brett.
I had a feeling you were going to say that.
Yeah, I think that's because it's a bit like Doctor Who, isn't it? You resonate with the person that you was playing that role when you were kind of as a teenager, maybe something like that. But I always remember thinking Jeremy Brett had a sort of mystery to him and a kind of he sort of had a sneering look. Yes. And I really liked that, and I remember that. And they used to do the Sherlock Holmes in sort of episodic form. So it would be something I'd come home from school and I'd watch an episode of that. So I always think of him as my Holmes. Yeah. But I did like Benedict Cumberbatch as well. And I came to that really late. I only saw that last year when I knew I'd got this job. And everyone had said, oh, it's fantastic, you've got to see it. And I'd been putting it off because everyone had said, you must see it.
Yes, of course.
But I did get round to seeing it and it was brilliant and I loved it. And him and Martin Freeman I thought had a really good rapport, and I like what they did with it. I like the sort of modern twist to it as well.
And the Abominable Bride, when they made you believe that they were back in the original period. Very clever how they did that. I recently rewatched all the Bretts over Christmas, and then I said, right, rewatch Sherlock, because that's the first one that I discovered, the one with Cumberbatch. I thought, watch it as an adult and don't watch it as a fan, and I realised all the references to the original stories, and just how faithful it was to the actual Dawes works and modernising it. But one thing that people often don't know, we had a modern Holmes before, because during the war in World War II, there were 2 Rathbone films that were produced by 20th Century Fox, but then obviously we went to war, and we needed a hero, so it got moved from the Victorian period to the modern World War II. So Rathbone wasn't the first, but was the first sort of modern Holmes with an impact. Wow. So I relate to him quite a bit, but like yourself, Jeremy Brett's definitely my favourite Holmes. Very good.
We did have an idea in this when Holmes dresses up in disguise, and Watson, he says, he turns to Watson and says, how do I look, Watson? And Watson says, awful, ridiculous. I think he says, ridiculous. And we said, oh, you should dress up with a deer stalker and a pipe. But we thought, no, the Holmes fans wouldn't like that, so we didn't go with that as an idea, but I think it would be quite fun.
And the final question I've got for you, if there's any young person out there or somebody that wants to get into acting, what advice would you have to them?
Well, it's kind of going back to what I said before. I think I would definitely say, do something else. Not on its own, but have something else that you can do as well as act. Because there will be periods in your career where you're not making enough money to pay your rent and to pay your mortgage. And you've got to find something that you can do that you enjoy. Hopefully, if someone's got the ability and the talent and the dedication, they will make it work. It will happen. And so for those people, I'd say go for it, and be bold and be determined, but also have something else. If you can teach, if you can do workshops, if you can do camera stuff, if you can film stuff, if you can run your own business, do it, because it's much easier to be an actor when you can pay the rent.
Yes, sure.
So that's what I would say. I would say don't be a dreamer. Be someone that's practical and say, right, how am I going to? Yeah. When I was young, I said, right, I need to make. At that time, it was like £200 a week. I said, I need to make £200 a week. if I'm not acting, how am I going to do it? And I just thought, get that in place, so then the acting comes on top. And then hopefully at some point, you know, you do start making enough money to live, and that's what we want to do.
Yes.
But yeah, so that's what I'd say. I'd say be determined, but be practical.